All right, so we've got our branch, right? So actually, we don't. We're still on the main branch. Look at me. Let's create a new branch. First thing we're gonna do, let's set up the database. Now we're on our new branch. All right. We can see what's changed here in this file. This file actually has not been saved yet, so we're still on a clean branch. Let's save that. Great. So let's look at some of the first things we need to do with AI. All right, so let's feed the AI the to-do. Right, so this has our active tab here, which is our to-do. We'll say we need to do inside of our project. Like it if you expanded on the database setup section. And then got to do file. To outline steps we need to take. All right, so let's give it some of our requirements. Runs locally. All right, so we're going to say the steps need to be clear and actionable. And one thing I found a lot of times, especially with AI, is making things, you don't want to treat it like a junior developer. You also don't want to treat it like a senior developer. So right there in the middle, like that mid-range developer. It knows what it's doing, but a lot of times it just needs guidance, right? So what you want to do is define your tasks and your process in such a way that you were talking to a mid-level developer. So somebody, say, 5-6 years into their programming journey. So let's add that here. Well, let's not. Let's just go ahead and hit enter because I did. All right, so one nice thing about this actually doesn't look too bad, but I do want to go back to what I was saying previously before I hit enter. So in Cursor, you can actually just go back to the previous version, right? So let me hit Shift Enter here and say define the tasks as user stories. Might have misspelled guidance there, but that's okay. He doesn't mind. make it easier to read. My dog is really sawing some logs right now, so if this is being picked up on the mic, I apologize. She's a sleepy girl. Let's go ahead and keep that. Alright, so here we've got user story 1. So we're gonna use user story 1, set up local development environment. As a developer, I want to run Supabase locally for development so that I can develop and test database changes without affecting production data. It's great. Then it's going into the tasks for this. Perfect. We wrote it out as, actually, let me do this. Wrong one. Let's do that one. All right. Much easier to read. Cool. So these are written out as user stories. We haven't defined anything like an epic or, you know, sprint or anything like that. We're just going to keep them as user stories. I'm curious if it's going to do a good job with creating the migrations. We'll find out. A lot of times I'll actually go in and create the data myself. Nice thing about Supabase is you can literally just open up the UI and make whatever changes, and then you can run a diff command to create a migration for it. You'll definitely want to create migrations because when you push to production or, you know, a branch database on Supabase, it uses those migrations to keep track of all the changes. Not quite sure we need the row level security at the moment. So something about Supabase, there's two different ways you can set it up. So you can set up a client, be in the web browser, connecting directly to Supabase. You can use the Supabase authentication token to authenticate the user, and they can view whatever RLS, row level security settings you have. The second option, and I actually kind of default to this again because I'm a graybeard, is everything is set up on the back end. So you would actually call your own API. You would handle everything as if you were connecting to the database in a traditional manner. Now, I haven't made the decision yet, but it really kind of comes down to the use case, right? So like, say we have, in the case you want to view your project. We'll just throw a contrived example out. But you want to view your project, right? So you would have a route that is /project/ the ID of the project. In that case, you may want to do server-side rendering, right? So you would want the server to make that call to the database and use the typical Postgres connection. So that's I like doing things more so on the server than I do in the client, unless the need is there, right? Like real-time updates is a good example. If it's a real-time update, then I'll have the client actually make that call. So let's go into a good use case for the client making the call. So say we have a project and we want to see a real-time dashboard of PRs coming into that project, or cards that were pulled, in this case monkeys that were pulled for that project in real time. So we just want a dashboard that shows the project and everybody associated with the project and all the monkeys that they've pulled. Now, one way that you could do it, and ways that I've done it in the past, is that you poll the server every so often, be like, okay, what monkeys are associated with this project, and then you would have the server return that answer. But in the case of real-time in Supabase, what you can do is you can actually make that call directly to Supabase. So if you're using Supabase authentication, you tie that in, you get your JWT, your JSON Web Token from Supabase. You can actually make a call to Supabase and set up your row-level security so that you can pull in any monkeys that are associated with projects that are associated with that particular user. You don't need a server-side function for that. As a matter of fact, you can watch for changes to the project. So as monkeys are being pulled and new ones are being added, you can watch for those specific actions and have something on the client perform an action, like refresh your monkeys, show your new monkey. If data changes, you can have that done in real time. So once the data is saved to the database, say you have a project description and somebody changes the way the project is described, then you could have it update in real time. So I kind of talked myself into the row level security, but probably at a later date. So let's talk with the AI. We'll say, let me hide this, and we'll say, okay, what is it? User story 4. It actually looks like it may have deleted some of my previous code. That's okay, I'll show you how to get that back. Okay, so we'll say, don't want to set up RLS at the moment. Let's add that. Let's treat it like it would be another developer. Let's add that Icebox. At the minimum. Alright, so changes made. Removed RLS from the main database setup section. Move the Icebox section for future. Great, 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 great. Hey, and look, it actually added all of our Icebox section back. So, okay, cool. Actually, one thing here, we'll do a backlog. Because we'll want to add these sections to, let's see, test policies. There we go. To the backlog. Okay. So if we view this, we got our backlog, GitHub API. Sorry, I'm being a little particular about my headers here. Okay, so let's go back and review. So we've got our database set up local Supabase development environment. Great. Install and configure the Supabase. So one thing I think it picked up on here, because I haven't said PMPM anywhere, is that if you look at our database structure here, we have our PMPM lock. So one thing you might have noticed originally was that it said npm install. So we'll say PMPM lock or add Supabase JS. Great. Let's see. So it automatically just picked it up. We don't need to set it. I'll show you how to set it in case you need to. But let's go in and say cursor settings. So you can't see that portion of my screen, but if you go to File, or sorry, Cursor Settings, and then Cursor Settings next to the Apple menu, you'll pull this up. So here you can set lots of different things. So rules and memories, great. It's got memories turned on, save memories, user rules. You can add your own rule here. So you can say always prefer PNPM over NPM. NPM is the devil. So just real quick way you can add rules to your project. So, which actually I probably shouldn't add this. I've got another project that I'm working on that uses Bun as opposed to PNPM. God knows why. But seems like it's doing a fine job. User story 3, create and design the database. As a developer, I want to create the database. Tell you what, this looks good. I do think that we need to define the database tables a little bit better. So user table, GitHub ID, username, avatar URL, great. We can have it pull in the avatar URL automatically from GitHub, or if they want to change it to a monkey, hell, we'll give them access to do that. GitHub projects table, great. Monkeys table, sweet. I will say we need a video URL here. So it already picked up on the rarity. It's doing a pretty good job. But we'll say image URL, video URL, because we'll want our legendary monkeys to have videos. There's also some other pieces to the monkeys that this hasn't picked up on, but we'll work on that when we get to this. That actually might be a great way for me to show you the different ways that you can add columns to tables and add tables and save it. So we'll create the database seed table. User story 5. Set up database type generation. Yeah. This looks good. Create database utility functions. Perfect. A lot of these things, you know, one thing I found that AI is really good at is like the boilerplate, like the minutia. Right. Not sure that we need number 7 here. We'll see what it comes up with, though. One thing that I find myself doing a lot is I'll actually do a dump of whatever staging database that we have, and I'll use that as my seed file, right? So we'll see what it comes up with. And of course, the backlog section, we've talked about the backlog section, authentication, deployment, great. All right, so let's save this. And let's commit. So one thing you want to do when working with AI is commit often, very often. I'll actually have it almost like a 3-tiered approach. So if I'm not ready to commit something, I'll pull everything into staging, or staged changes rather. Then I'll make whatever changes the AI suggests, and it does have a restore point in the chat pane, but I don't know, I just don't really trust it that much. So I'll pull everything into my stage changes. Then I'll continue working. Everything looks good after the AI has made those changes. Then I will commit, repeat the process. You'll see me work that way here as we're working through those. So let me go ahead and commit that. All right, so what do you say we get started? So we're already on our branch. We've got our database set up. I guarantee that I have a problem right now. So I've got a lot of projects that use Supabase, so I guarantee we're going to run into a problem with Supabase. So let me run this. And we'll say Docker PS. Yeah, so it's got lots of things in there. I love the names that it gives containers. But yeah, we've got the project that is my day job, round 1, is currently running. So let me stop that. I think everything is under round 1. You're seeing a lot of things you probably shouldn't see, but that's okay. I trust you guys. You won't go out and steal my clients. Here's my Gachapon cards. I bet you anything it's under that folder called Anui. So, fun story. We had a project, and it's still going on. It's called Anui. It was called Anui, and we changed the name to Round 1. So it's an AI project management tool that it basically gives you the round 1 of a creative campaign. It's pretty cool stuff. I've got a lot of really good, really smart people helping me with the project. So it's going to be the first one we launch, outside of agency life. So we'll say CD Anui /core. Alright, so let's stop those containers. Great. I can actually probably kill those other 2 as well. Fuck it, we'll keep running with it. So I've tried to solve this problem for a while now. It's something to do with Z Shell. Can't figure it out. Spent like an hour and a half on it, gave up. At this point, I've just kind of blocked that out of my head. So if anybody knows like a good solution to that, please let me know. I'm not sure what's causing it. I went over my zshell file, .zshell, ZSHRC file with a fine-tooth comb. I can't find anything. I'm sure it's probably something that's loading from some other package that's just fucked, but whatever. Alright, so let's open up our UI here again, and let's clear this. Alright, so we got our active tab. And let's say read over story 1 of R at to-do. Okay, so something here, I toggle, and I really need to set up a keyboard shortcut for this, but I toggle between agent and ask quite often. So if I don't want the AI to perform an action at this moment, I just want it to read what I'm working on, or give me an answer to something, I'll move it over to ask. If I want to perform a task, like I actually want it to refactor this file. I've got a 2,000 line file here, and I need it to be 10 different files. Then I'll toggle on answer. I really need to set up a keyboard shortcut for that, but yeah, it is. Wow. It pulled in PM again. Alright, so install the Supabase CLI. So that is already installed. So we'll say Supabase CLI is already installed. Also, for future reference, prefer PMPM over NPM. Verify Docker installation. Great, that's fine. Install, please. Verify it. Great. So the command supabase init. Pretty sure that you can run pmpx supabase init. If you do it this way, you'll use whatever the latest version is. But we'll just let it do its thing. Great. Supabase is going to start. We'll create the environment configuration. Amazing. Expected outputs, yep. So we want to see it running on those 2 ports. Supabase Studio, of course, is like the UI for Supabase, whereas the Supabase instance, like the actual database connection, is here. And then the verification steps. Great. Before I tell it wrong, yeah, it's already installed. It looks like it's quite a bit out of date, though. Oh well. Hey, didn't trust me. It did exactly what I told it I was doing. So let's go ahead and just run it. So one thing I've noticed quite a bit is it'll get stuck here. So when it's asking the question, are you sure you want to do this? So what I did there was I actually just clicked on view running terminal. Great. Hit Y, continue. It'll pick up from there. Supabase start. So when you start a new Supabase instance, you'll get your anon key and your service role key as part of it, right? So these are always the same. It's okay that you guys are seeing this. There's nothing you can hack into, right? So these are always the same. It's based off of some internal configuration. I'm sure it has something to do with JWT secret. But let's go ahead and finish up here. Great. Alright, so it's saying that it should be running, which I do see everything here. So let's open up the studio URL. Two, three. Hey, look. Of course, we don't have any tables, but everything's set up. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here. Yeah, I do. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here and pick up here in the next video. Thanks.